What's up, guys? It's Billy here, and we are at St. Joseph RetroCon. And right now, I'm sitting with Mr. Paul Niemeyer. How you doing today, man? Like, yeah.
That guy owes me money.
Right, right? I heard about that. No.
Yeah.
So, okay, for you guys watching or listening, Mr. Niemeyer here has had a hand in a ton of things that I know you love. So, what comes to mind immediately for me is you were the artist that kind of created that original artwork for Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So when you started doing that, I mean, how did that all start for you? What was the process of you getting to be that guy that made that art for them?
Well, I'd love to have you some dynamic, answer to that question,
Yeah.
but it was pretty much my old boss Greg called up and said, "Hey, we're desperate to get some artwork done. It's a fighting game. Get over here."
Yeah. Please make our art. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was the thing too. Actually, the story goes that management had kind of controlled that whole situation. They had been negotiating with Jean-Claude Van Damme to be Johnny Cage. Now that's kind of common knowledge now, but at the time that was like the ultra secret, you know. So when that fell apart, and it fell apart because Jean-Claude Van Damme wanted like everything, and they were Midway were cheap. It was never going to come together on that. So they had it hardwired in their heads that the only way this was going to be a success is with Jean-Claude Van Damme on board, and now he's not. So they came to Greg Ferris, who was a creative director on it, and he was my former boss when I was at Ballet as an employee. And they said, find somebody, get a freelancer in here. Don't waste any more time with staff artists. Who's the fastest gun in the West? Well, I was the fastest gun in the West. So, you call Paul. So down I came and they're like, here's the game. You got 3 weeks. Holy, are you? Yeah, 3 weeks. And I mean, that was like from concept to production art, where to the point where I wasn't making illustrations and then turning them into production art. I was making illustrations as production art.
Yeah.
We were just skipping steps that I would not advise anybody to do. All right. And would highly, disagree with it. Do not do that.
Right.
Yeah. But that just seemed to be the way things were going. And roll along the program, kids, So yeah, that's how I got involved with it.
That's really cool. And okay, so obviously I immediately think of Mortal Kombat, but tell our viewers and listeners, what are some of the other really cool franchises you've been a part of with the art?
Boy, I've gotten very, very lucky. I started at Valley Midway when I was like 24 years old, and I worked on oh boy, I did Super Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, the obscure Professor Pac-Man, Satan's Hollow, Tron, Discs of Tron, Tapper, a Spy Hunter, Wacko. I forgot that. Yeah, Wacko and Midnight Marauders, all in the 2 years that I was there. It was like 7 or 8 games and in that period. It was just nuts. And I was actually the first victim of the video game crash of 1983. And what happened was all the companies had just been making a glut of games, every week another game was coming out. And then the week after that, the newest, greatest, fastest, whatever, how could you keep up with it? And the thing is, back then, the arcade owners had to buy the games. So, if a new game's coming out in a week, they're looking at it like, they've got a whole arcade full of these games. Well, it's like having a parking lot full of used cars.
Yeah.
That you're trying to pay off in quarters. Not a good premise, and you can see it's going to fall apart eventually, and it did. So I actually got lucky that I was low man on the totem pole over there. I got laid off first, and they laid me off at the beginning of April when all the ad agencies are starting their Christmas stuff. I stepped onto the scene with mad marker rendering skills from working there, and I had a couple buddies in the ad agencies. Before I knew it, bing, bang, boom, I was freelancing. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I was looking for that perfect job I had at Ballet, which didn't exist. Also another unicorn.
Yeah.
but for literally for 2 I was in my mind, I'm thinking, "I'll just freelance until I find that perfect job," you know? 2 years into it, I'm realizing, "Oh, freelancing is the perfect job. I work at home. I'm in my
Yeah.
underwear. What am I thinking? This is crazy how good yeah, this is a great gi and I'm charging 3 to 4 times more money than what I was making at ballet. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
which made me immediately realize how badly they were screwing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a question I like to ask
Sure.
people in your situation, all these games, Mortal Kombat, all the lists bring a lot of people joy. How does it make you feel knowing you've been a part of something that just brings people joy all the time?
Wow, I'm glad you asked that because quite honestly, doing these shows has made that more apparent to me than ever. And it's something I really didn't think about.
Yeah.
You know, when you're making the games, a lot of it's well nuts and bolts. You know, you're trying to beat the deadline, and especially in this particular case, I'm really trying to beat a deadline. So you're just banging it out, banging it. But you know, so many times, and I'm sure you've seen this and heard about this in the past, that first idea it seems to always be golden, you know, and so many times, like in a situation like this where there was no time for a second idea. The first idea had to fly, and that was the end of that. The end.
Yeah.
Hope it's good. Yeah, right. I mean, really, there was there weren't even any changes on any of the artwork. Whatever it is I showed up with at the end of that 3 weeks, that's the thing of printing. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
That is awesome.
I could have been known as the guy that did that horrible game.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you did out okay.
uh,
Yeah. You can't go anywhere without somebody knowing Mortal Kombat.
True enough, true enough, I'm flattered by that. I really am. It's been just an incredible experience. Once I was kind of rediscovered, because you know, okay, I was kicked to the curb. I don't know if you know that story, but so I did the artwork, and the game comes out, and the last thing they expected to happen happens. It's a huge success, and now they're like, "Oh, we did not count on that." And apparently, the guy that made the most valuable artwork this company's ever had doesn't work here. Never did. Oh, he's a freelancer. He has rights to it. Oops.
Yeah. Womp.
So they didn't pay me. And when I went looking for the money, 60 days in, you know, and that's, you know, and of course, this is the, um, uh, I'm sure there was some clerical error
Right.
phone call, right? The 90 days phone calls. I want to break your knees if you don't pay me. You know, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see the difference.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we're at the 60 days one, and I got Ed Boon on the phone. And I started off soft, and I went in, you know, wow, so proud of him, part of the team. This, you know, or what a great, I said, what a great success. Nobody expected to see that. You know, so proud of him, part of the team. And he cuts me off. And he goes, "You weren't part of the team. You're crappy." I'm like, okay, all right.
Where did this art come from then? Like,
And then, well, and then he doubles down on it, and he goes, "Oh, that artwork will never cross over the threshold of the front door ever again." Which I thought was an odd thing to say, but I get it. You know, you know, yes, you hired a freelancer for a game that is so popular. You've never even seen anything like this before. What to do now,
right.
kids? You know, although, I mean, they could have offered me a job. They could have hired me. And quite honestly, everyone I tell that story to kind of has that in mind. But that is not what they did. Instead, they threatened me with a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Ed told me that if I showed that artwork or associated with myself with that artwork in any way, they would sue me into the Stone Age. Those were his exact words. So, you know, I walked away from it and backed off, and I didn't have any reason to, you know, because here's the thing, my billing was like a lousy $2,800 for all 3 weeks of work. That's not much.
Yeah.
Even in 1992 money, that still wasn't very much for what was going on there, you know. Especially the hours I put in. It was like it was an exercise in sleep
Yeah.
deprivation. It really was. All right. So at that point, I was making probably $2,800 a week at the ad agencies where they happily gave it to us because we were making them millions. So we were making the game company millions too, but that was a completely different attitude. They'd rather steal it than pay for it. Whereas the ad agencies knew that if they kept the wheels greased, that artwork, we're going to keep churning that artwork out. And so they're throwing tens of thousands at us because they're making
Yeah.
billions. And like when we have to work late, they treat us like kings. They go, we'll get you dinner. Where do you want it? Sushi? Or, Gibson's, we'll go to your steaks. I swear. They go, hey, we got a whole a refrigerator full of craft beer. Help yourselves. But, it was kind of the attitude was whatever it takes to make you happy to get that artwork done, we're on board. So it was a joy working for the ad agencies, and they happily paid you on time. It was almost like a regular job.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first wife was like amazed. Oh my God, it's like a regular job.
Like, thank goodness.
Yeah. My second wife was not so thrilled.
Yeah. Well, hey, knowing that I've got a handful of students out there that might be listening to this, these kids are so creative. What piece of advice would you say to them for kids who might look at a career like yours and think, I want to do that? Like, what kind of advice would you
Yeah.
say to them?
Well, okay. I just had this discussion with somebody. We were saying, how do you determine that, your success or that you were a success or what is it that you did that you felt personally that it was a success? And I have to go back and say, um, I have to judge everything by the viewpoint of my 16-year-old self.
Yeah.
Would my 16-year-old self be, impressed with all this? Yeah, he would. Be totally impressed with all of this. So yeah, that's kind of my barometer for how this all worked out. But as far as advice for young students, I would say I know that the computer classes are so important now. And take them because if you don't, you'll be left in the dust. All right, but take those drawing classes, learn how anatomy, learn how to draw perspective, learn dynamic, learn layout, learn all of that, learn balance and color and texture. These things are all so very, very important because they're the basis of it all. And the best computer program in the world can't make you talented.
Right.
You have to show up with the talent. So all I can say is keep plugging away at it, be perseverant. Uh, um, the three rules, first of all, always lots of practice.
Yeah.
And the second rule, of course, is practice. Guess what
Mhm.
the third one is?
I'm anticipating practice.
You've heard this before. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and the thing is, practice is. I know this sounds corny. Like it should be. It's like be.
I'm the king of corny.
Hey, this should be printed on a pillow, but it's its own reward. It really is. When you practice, you begin learning things in very complex manner. You know, uh, you have plenty of time to think about, the quality of the line, the edge, how much pressure you're putting on, oh wait a minute, is there something different I can do here? And here's the thing, serendipitous mistakes are a blessing.
Yep.
So many times I've come across some great techniques that I would not have had if it had not been for some goofy mistake. I literally just had one just the other day. I had watered down some paint. I was going to make some clouds. I'm working on this sculpture for it's 100th anniversary of Route 66. I'm doing a sculpture for the city of Lockport, Illinois. So, I had this watered down white paint, and I spilled some on the piece. Oh crap, and I went and got the hair dryer, and I started dabbing it up, and I'm hitting it with a hair dryer, and all of a sudden I see these weird patterns from the drying process. Like I dry a little bit of it and dab it up, and then dry a little bit more, and I get these weird concentric. Whoa! Now we got something. Forget about the mess it made.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I got a whole new reason for this mess. Yeah. So I mean, I'm still discovering stuff. That happened like 2 days ago.
Yep.
I'm thrilled. Look at all. I can't wait to get back tomorrow and start painting on the
Yeah.
thing.
I try to tell my students all the time, a lot of kids are afraid to mess up, so they won't even start. And I try to
Oh,
pound that out of them.
about
Let's
it.
work, guys. It's okay to make a mistake and mess up because
Yeah,
you learn something from it. Even if you throw it out, you learn something.
sure.
It's not It's not a
Oh,
failure. A mistake is not a failure.
I'm so glad to hear you say. Like I taught a lot, actually. Many years I taught. I don't have time for it anymore. I'm on the road too much, but I love it. I love teaching. So one of the things that I always do in my classes, especially kids classes, like I taught a lot of cartooning and basic line drawing, figure drawing, that kind of thing. Um, the first day I'd say, I'm glad you're all here. We're going to make as many mistakes as we possibly can. You know why? Because it's not going to cost you anything. You haven't got anything to lose at this point in your life by making the mistake. So, but the one thing you do get to have with mistakes is learning
Yep.
something. And here's what a success teaches you. It teaches you that one situation that you probably can't reproduce was very successful one day, one time only.
Yep.
And that's that. So you learn one thing. There you go. A failure, you learn 100
Yep.
things. 100 easily. And they're all applied. So, I'd always like, all right, people, let's get started and make those
Yep.
mistakes, screw up as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Hey, you're not screwing up enough.
That's awesome. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time.
I enjoyed every moment of it. Thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity, and thank you, fans. I always want to thank the fans, really, because I
Yeah.
mean, look, okay, I was kicked to the curb for 27 years, so now I'm here, kind of making up for a lot of lost time. So I'm booking every show that shows up on my roster. I'm on the road constantly because I just want to talk to each and every fan. I love all of you because you made all this possible. Quite honestly, it would just be a lot of nice dragon artwork without you guys. So
Yeah.
thanks, man. Really, thank you.